fuck? And it's always the first step here, isn't it? Fantastic. Kinda everything's all working. I've been like Zelda Tears of the Kingdom came out, right? And so I'll call it all of the coverage on YouTube has started to go back to like Zelda related shit. They've been talking about Tears of the Kingdom, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and that's brought up a lot of Breath of the Wild stuff, and then brought that crap back to the forefront. So it's a barrel of laughs, really. It's got me want to play that instead of this. But I have a duty. I have a limited time to do it, and it's all about finishing this series as quickly as I can, so that I can then probably fucking do it again. Yeah, that's fine. Something's going to happen here, and that's going to lead us to the next whatever. Something very specific. Now, you might remember a guy in the Ground Zeroes. I know the cutscene for Ground Zeroes was for ending that particular prequel, I guess. I know that cutscene kind of didn't do what, like, it didn't show itself to you, right? But if you looked it up on your own, there was this, while XOF was attacking Mother Base from all of your efforts in Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, while XOF and Skullface's shock troops were completely tearing all of that effort down, there was a certain soldier that's Big Boss's arms. That soldier, you might have noticed, had the name Mosquito on his back. Just keep that in the back of your mind. That's going to be very important very soon. And it's also why I'm sort of breezing past the intro to this mission, because it's not going to matter.
Boss, we have an emergency. Mother Base is under attack. The enemy is over on one of our platforms, and they're holding some of our staff hostage. If we don't do something, they'll try to take off with our men. That would mean losing some of our finest manpower. Boss, take back that platform. This is a race against time. For all of us. Get on this mission right away, boss. Great, you made it.
So I've got so many questions here that I want to be answered. So this is mission 22. It automatically starts sometime during mission 21. And you can just ignore it and finish mission 21. But it's not very essential for the role-playing, right? Plus, you know, it's good shit. Go ahead. So this is there's several different questions here that I have running through my mind. I didn't fully flesh out the R&D platform where this is taking place. So is it going to be missing some of the additional platforms? Also, as you've seen throughout this series, I've repeatedly gotten rid of huge sections of staff. They're supposed to be have captured at least 6 staff, but I don't even think that there's 6 staff to be captured. You know?
And eliminate their commander. The moment they lose their chain of command, we'll move in and suppress the rest. The enemy have taken some of our staff hostage and are threatening to kill them if they're attacked. You can't rely on support from us this time. Anything we do might be seen as an attack. Boss, forgive me. Can't believe I let an enemy force in right under my nose. But one thing's for sure. They're gonna pay for it. Make certain of that, boss.
So this whole thing is an absolute barrel blast, and you can do with it what you please. And they're good enough to beat us, you know, in a matter of speaking. Okay, so question number 1 has been answered. As it turns out, if you don't develop this base too overly much, then you don't have to fight through much of it.
Where are your friends?
And like I said, that is a barrel of laughs. That's excellent. If you simply do not ever expand the research and development platform, then this mission becomes especially easy.
Subject on board. Leave the rest to us.
That's really cool. I didn't know whether or not that was going to affect the mission in some way. Now, the Mother Base staff, the Diamond Dogs that are captured,
Roger that.
Somebody get me down!
CP, this is Delta 3. Just saw a suspicious person. Gotta check it out. Over. CP, understood.
Subject on board. Leave the rest
the
of
Mother
us.
Base staff that have been captured will be reclaimed. Those 6 soldiers will be reclaimed on the 3rd platform and on the main platform. So, since the 3rd platform isn't here, does that mean that they've only captured 3 soldiers?
Coming too. Roger that.
With that being said, with that question being asked, second question becomes,
Where are the others?
Hey, get me down from here!
Subject on board. Leave the rest to us.
have they captured any of my staff at all, considering that I repeatedly fire all of my staff after recovering them? Now, in addition to all the rest of this, one important thing for me to remember is, of course, to try to conserve these Fultons as much as I can.
He's coming too. Roger that.
I can do that through any number of different methods, but, you know, I can do some heinous shit, like knocking these guys out, chucking them into the ocean, shit like that, but you know that that's not my style. You know, I'm going to try as best as possible to very peaceably apprehend as many of these soldiers as I can. Now, you see how, like, this particular platform is all complicated, right? You've got a first floor, you've got a ground floor, you've got your second floor, a third floor, fourth floor, and even fifth floor up there, believe it or not. Like the roof, that's a lot of elevation to try to keep track of. And try to make sure that people don't come in and, you know, ruin your day. So, to make things a lot easier on you,
Where are the others?
I suggest just doing this the way that you know I like to do it. To kidnap these people one at a time, folding them out of the area one at a time. Always in the manner that is loudest, so that as they scream for help, their buddies and compatriots will come on down and try and see what's up. Like I said, it's always better, in my eyes, in my opinion, to go ahead and have the enemies come to you instead of the other way around. It's tough.
That guy's the target.
It looks like nobody saw me. They definitely heard me, but they didn't see me.
CP, this is Delta 4. We've got unidentified
Subject on board. Leave the rest to us.
Understood. All units, we may
And be very careful down here. Because if you are picking up one of these
He's
guys
coming too.
and
Roger
somebody
that.
pops in to see what's going on, well, it's not good. Might trigger your reflex mode, and then you still won't have anything to... You still won't be able to respond.
Speak.
Remember? Mosquito? Now you might be saying, okay, that's Mosquito. We saw him get shot in the head in the Ground Zeroes cutscene, so how did he survive? We're playing as Snake, a guy that has a fucking piece of shrapnel stuck in his skull, pressing on his octave. Is that it? Nerve? It's pressing on whatever the hell nerve controls his eyeballs, I guess. And what he sees and perceives. So with that being said, you know, like, I don't think that there's an ideal for realism here. Plus, people get shot in the head all the time in this series.
Where are the others?
Self in Metal Gear Solid 3, he got shot in the eyeball. A bullet entered his eyeball.
You gotta extract him.
I'm gonna take out my own power.
CP, this is Zone 4. Some of them make the storm. This is CP. Understood. Move to investigate. ASAP. Out. All fire teams.
I don't know why I'm doing that.
Gone out. Looks like a problem with the power supply. Whoever's closest
I was gonna try to pull him out somewhere where he could be Fultoned, but since I only have one Fulton left, that's not really the most useful activity that I can engage in. Seems like there might only be 4 dudes. Now this entire mission is also to introduce yourself to the concept of invading. Well, that fucking sucks. I have never been spotted in this mission. Well, I've been spotted once. That sucks.
Snake, talk to me.
What do you mean mission failed? Return to mission. What do you mean emergency mission canceled and 11 soldiers extracted? That's never happened. I've never done it. That was buck wild. I think if it simply occurs again, then that's so strange. This has never happened. But I think if this just occurs again,
Eliminate the high-ranking CFA
if the whole thing just goes again, then I will
head to the airport
I'll
first.
hold up everybody on the first platform and I'll extract everybody on the second platform. It didn't seem that I was luring people out of the R&D platform very well. Let's go ahead and get rid of as many of our new recruits as possible. You know that that's my MO. For those who have not tuned in for the rest of the series, of course, the entire idea of this run is to try to keep as many soldiers safe as humanly possible. To have war without casualties. It's a fantasy. It would never be able to happen in real life, pretty much no matter what we do. And we're trying better and better, more and more, each and every day. But it's just not actually going to happen. Not here in the real world. But why not have it, you know, here in the Metal Gear world?
Great, you made it. I've sent the information to your map screen. That's the target's predicted location. Check all around the target and plan carefully before moving in.
This is so strange. So does that mean that I'm just going to, instead of it being an emergency mission, I'm just going to be able to go with the mission normally? Just choose to go on the mission? So as the title suggests, title of this YouTube live broadcast suggests, the whole thing, the whole idea is to let no bad happen. I want as much as humanly possible to simply make sure nothing bad happens to as many soldiers, civilians, everybody involved in this video game. I'll make sure that they're all healthy, alive, and well.
Let him bring the target out into your line of fire.
So if I would have really planned ahead, then one of the things that I would have done is I would have never upgraded the R&D platforms strictly because of Mission 22 there, retaking the platform. So that would have been one of my moves.
Where does she be?
It's a surveillance camera. Don't get spotted. That's an enemy gunship. Don't try to take down a gunship from the front. The chopper will be arriving any minute. Watch out. You gotta extract him.
VOD mute music. Everybody's favorite song, the VOD mute song. Okay. It's a little tough
There's a chopper landing.
to
It must be
get
carrying the arms dealer.
all
Keep your eyes
of
on
these
it.
different
Our intel suggests the target
moving
will be the
pieces in this
arms dealer
mission.
after the inspection. Take him out before that happens.
The powers that be themselves
Subject on board.
on the building that the chopper is landing on. That building has a couple of snipers that's on the roof. Then you have these bastards in their walker gears, and they are particularly difficult to hit from the front. And if you don't have a head, they can be practically impossible. I think the hitboxes were all messed up in like the first major version. Getting from hither to thither before they begin to talk about this nonsense. That was weird. It soft spotted me in a very strange way. I guess I've never let somebody escape with that that vehicle because I'm unfamiliar with the guy coming back. Where did he go? Did he just do like a loop-de-loop? Just drove out here and then drove back around here?
Dis 'n voorreg, meneer. Ons skuld ons sukses in Sentraal-Afrika aan die SANR. Die vind die Olieveld-voorval was regtig 'n skande.
Skande is korrek. Nou het 'n klomp huursoldaathonde van ons te hore gekom. Spooke van 'n dooie era.
Meneer, ek het gehoor dat 'n man by die Olieveld die Big Boss was. Die legendariese huursoldaat. Niemand het my vertel dat ons teen iemand soos hy te staan sal kom nie. Ons kontrak het slegs gespesifiseer dat ons die fasiliteit beskerm teen plaaslike bevolking en militante faksies. Beskerming teen PF's gerigsteende moderne tegnologie is 'n heel ander affære.
Ek het genoeg gehoor. Vereers het ons 'n inspeksie om af te aan. Wys my die plek.
Begryp. Kom ons begin by die suidelike hy. Stap die kant toe.
Could those two be the target and the arms dealer?
Just rechecked the mission task for this particular mission. And the only real extracurriculars here besides just a normal snatch and grab is grabbing a blueprint that is carried by the chopper. So you got to take down the chopper, then you have to go to wherever the chopper crashed at and snatch a blueprint that gets dropped on the ground. Following these guys around and listening to their conversation, of course, like any of the other missions in this game, doing that, it's a huge pain in the ass. It's an enormous pain in the ass. But nothing, absolutely nothing is as bad as lingua franca. Crawling around as I'm doing at the moment, that is essential to not being spotted by the chopper overhead.
The target's probably already outside the original predicted FOM. You'll have to look for him yourself. Try interrogating some of the soldiers. They may know something.
I would say it would probably be best to come on over here. Hide in a box, listen to this snippet of the conversation, and then join them in the truck once they get in.
Dis die suidelike hy. Dalk het al beter daar gesien. Maar ons kan dit regmaak in 'n jak.
Baie ruimte. Dis 'n moontlike hy is so groot soos hier.
Ja, en dit is dieselfde effek. Dis 'n bietjie ver om te loop. Kom ons vat die kant.
Beslis.
Dis net daar.
Wonder if anybody that can speak what is it, Kikongo? Is that the language that they're speaking? If anybody can speak that, I'd love to know whether or not they're actually saying the word car, or if they're just saying like slang for vehicle, or maybe even the subtitle team got it wrong and they're saying truck. Damn it. No, no, Snake, no. Holy shit, that was close. By the way, if you have your parasite suit developed, you can use the mist parasites, and it's like a free sandstorm. You know, if you don't know about this game, you can call in bombs. You can have a bombardment drop on somebody. You can drop sleep gas on somebody, and you can drop smoke on somebody, all through aerial bombardment. So that's pretty cool, but any bombardment. Oh, and you can also change the weather. That's called cloud seeding. It's something that the U.S. did during the Vietnam War. So you can also change the weather, but doing any sort of aerial bombardment is going to lower your score. It's going to guarantee that you cannot get an S rank at the very least. But if you've got the parasite suit and you use the mist parasites from either Phantom Limbs or where the bees sleep, then it's like a free sandstorm. It's so fantastic. Like I found out about them. I tried the damn mist parasites and found out all about them like less than a year ago. It was crazy how long it took for me to find out about that particular trick and all of its benefits. But you won't have that yet. Not by this mission.
Dit sal fyn wees. Ons het al die ruimte hier wat ons nodig het.
Waarvoor het meneer sulke groot hangers nodig? Is dit nie hoogtyd dat ek weet nie?
Sekerlik, kom nie. Jy en jou manne sal 'n deurslaggewende rol speel vir die volgende fase. Ons gaan die lughawe gebruik as afsetpunt vir die verkoop van nukes.
Verkoop van nukes? Jy's...
Dis wat ons doen. Natuurlik is die verspreiding van kernwapens 'n kopsie. Maar wat as jy 'n atoombom op enige plek kan bou sonder spesialisfasiliteite, sonder hoëgraad uraan? Dis die nuwe sakemodel. Dink net aan die markandeel wat ons kan betrek.
Meneer is nie ernstig nie.
Ek is altyd ernstig. Jou verkoopsroetes gaan onvervangbaar wees. En om te dink, as jy nie 'n nukes het, sal die MPLA ook wil kry. Betaling sal uiteindelik groter mynregte wees en dies meer. Maar sedert die oliebaronne Amerika se spoorwegstelsels verlam het, sal daar altyd 'n mark vir olie wees. Die nuutste diamante sal nogal 'n lekker payday wees. 'n Meisie se beste vriend natuurlik, hè. Dis PA vir jou. Elke sakker se skrouende girlfriend is deel van ons bemarkingspan. En die Afrikaner mors net al die geld. Koop wapens om mekaar uit te moer. Die regte wêreld. Kak snaaks, nee my broer.
Vertel dit vir wie ook al my vervang. Ons is oorlogmakers. Ek erken dit. Ons maak 'n lewe met bloedgeld. Sonder oorlog is my manne werkloos. Dis ons enigste uitweg, want alle ander industrie is uit die streek verdryf deur koloniale magte wat wind slaan. Dis omtrent al wat ek kan hanteer.
Toe gat jakkals.
Het jy genoeg gesien? Sodra die ondersoek verby is, moet jy my Kinshasa toe vat, soos ons saam gestem het.
So jy wil die kans verspeel, die grootste besigheidskans wat ooit jou kant toe gekom het. Dis fyn met my. Iemand sal wel jou plek oorneem. Maak nie saak wat ek of jy doen nie. Die getuie van die ekonomie sal sy gang gaan. Nie terwyl die groot moondhede stry oor al die rykdom.
Die beheertoring is die kant toe.
They feed off the conflict and turn around and blame the colonial governments? Now that's hypocrisy.
Shut the fuck up, Miller. The game's doing several things at once here. It is I didn't mean to punch there. But it's doing its regular thing of trying to humanize potential Diamond Dogs recruits. So the businessman, he's a bit of a fucking heartless dick, but the main target here in the driver's seat, he's not that bad of a guy. The entire idea of nukes sort of turns his stomach. He's not into it. So whenever we kidnap the main target, whenever we extract him, Miller and crew are glad to have him on board. Now, this is a pain. Getting out of this damn truck without being spotted and following them all the way up to where they're going. Okay. Hopefully we didn't screw up the scripts here. And everybody's going to be fine and dandy. These guys are going to have one last conversation up here somewhere. And the best way that I found to listen to it is to go ahead, press my ear up against the floor. Or
The
this
enemy
pallet,
chopper is heading
whatever.
over to pick them up. Take out the target before it gets there.
Ek het amper vergeet om te vra. Ek hoor daar's 'n siekte in die omgang by Wale Yamasa.
Ja, baie vreemde siekte. Maar die streek was nietig gebied. Skrif was hulle ook aan ons kant. Maar eintlik was die Gunsmith die ou wat alles gehandel het. Maar toe het hulle almal gesterf. Nou is die gebied so beset deur 'n klomp van die vuil goed wat die Gunsmith by mekaar geskraap het. Blykbaar word hulle nie sien. Hoekom vra jy?
Net nuuskierig.
Ek sien. Kyk. Moenie my bullshit doen. Jy weet iets. Dit het iets te maak met eksperimente wat hele mense gedoen het by Zoya Badibulu. Nie waar nie. Selfs ons kan dit vasstel.
Te veel te weet dink wat aardige gevolge vir jou gesondheid het. Jy waai in elk geval uit af. Gaan lewe luks met die pennies wat jy gespaar het met wapenverkoop. Ag, vergeet van die warmte. Kom ons waai. Die helikopter is op pad.
They know something about the experiments
Okay.
going on in that factory. Well, there's no time now.
Let's go ahead and alert everybody. Hopefully that doesn't alert them in such a manner that makes... Nope, it doesn't.
Hurry up and take him out.
Looks like the, not only is the helicopter going to stay in one spot, regrettable is that man lost his life, but wasn't my fault. Don't run towards explosions. Everybody knows the rules. Cool guys don't look at explosions. Not only did he look at it, but he went right towards it and moth the flame. It sucks.
He's coming too. Roger that.
I mean, at the very least, like, it's not like they can do shit about it. There is no escape. Actually, there is. I forgot. The target will absolutely try to escape via land. Damn. That really sucks. We got so
Boss,
fucking
come
far.
here. Boss! Boss!
And I don't think that there's any checkpoints in this mission either. That sucks. Now here's the question. I've done this before, or sort of like, I think as soon as you get a mission task to pop, it doesn't matter what happens from then on out. It just it like remains popped.
Head to the airport first.
Like you only have to do it once. And like I've said before with the Voices mission, that's what he was talking about at the end of the whole thing. You know, oh, that's all related to the disease. It's all related to what you guys were doing at the Devil's house in Zoya Diabulu. Now, looks like we're gonna have to do it all again. I thought the mission task was gonna pop and stay popped. Seen something like that before. Maybe maybe it's just something where like you gotta go in there and do what's necessary, I guess. I think you have to pop a mission task and then complete the mission. I think those are the two major steps here. So now I'm thinking about what can I do to make the largest portions of this mission much easier. That's a tough question to answer. Well, I see one way of making things a little easier. I can take out these guys on the walker gears and get them out of here. While I probably won't be able to kidnap the snipers up on the roof, because doing so will cause so much noise that our friend inside that building
Just received word that the arms dealer due to inspect Nova
will be alerted to our, well, we'll be alerted to something is wrong.
Along with the target. Let him bring the target out into your line of fire.
So at least we don't have to deal with these guys running around.
It's a surveillance camera. Don't get spotted.
Ocelot should warn us about an enemy gunship here before too long.
Subject on board. Leave the rest
And with
to
any
us.
hope, I might actually be able to get all the way to the other side of this building.
Don't try to take down a gunship from the front.
I'm not going to be able to take out this guy out front.
The chopper will be arriving any minute. Watch out.
Okay. He's shooing away D-Dog. You know what? One thing I could do, make things a little easier on myself. I can listen in on their first conversation in here. Then we can sort of work out from there. Take out some of these snipers and stuff before I join them over at the other side. Hey, I might even be able to follow them around on foot. Might make things easier. These are brand new strats. This is one of the things that I like about this game, why I put so many hours into it. It's because I'm having new experiences still, even after all of this time, while simultaneously playing a game that I consider fun. being able to share it with a wider audience, of course, but also the whole thing, like, there's new stuff happening. I'm still going with new strategies that I've never tried before. There's still new ways to approach the game. I know that's like sort of the point of challenge runs, but most of challenge runs, they're all about, you know, just being as masochistic towards yourself as humanly possible. This one has sort of a point. Sort of. It goes a bit like this, you know. You feel bad whenever your own troops die. So you're trying to make sure that your troops don't die. It sounds simple enough, right?
Looks like the arms dealer's chopper is gonna patrol for the security forces. Be sure you don't get spotted from above.
Basically get no kills. Try not to kill anybody in the game. But I'm also trying to make sure that they don't die of sickness either. I want as few people to die as humanly possible between the start of Metal Gear Solid V, both Ground Zeroes, and Phantom Pain.
Een bezoek van die president. Dis 'n voorreg, meneer. Ons skuld al ons sukses in
Period.
Sentraal-Afrika aan die SANR. Die Mgsv Olieveld voorval was regtig 'n skande.
Skande is korrek. Nou het 'n klomp huursoldaat-honde van ons te hore gekom. Spooke van 'n dooie era.
Meneer, ek het gehoor dat 'n man by die Olieveld die Big Boss was. Die legendariese huursoldaat. Niemand het my vertel dat ons teen iemand soos hy te staan sal kom nie. Ons kontrak het slegs gespesifiseer dat ons die fasiliteit moet beskerm teen plaaslike bevolking en militante faksies.
You think
Beskerming teen PF's gerigs teen met moderne tegnologie.
I think Big Boss is on the radio with
Vereers het ons 'n inspeksie om af te haal. Wys my die plek.
with Ocelot.
Ons begin by die suidelike.
He's talking about us. Oh, I know.
They'll still be the target in the arms dealer.
Like, real excited about it.
Stay okay.
Who said that? The guy up top? Yeah, probably, yeah. Remember, any amount of suspicion, especially that which involves, like, radio calls, any amount of suspicion can set these guys off. And any radio calls will break the scripts, halt the mission, they will stop doing absolutely everything.
He's coming too. Roger that.
Son of a fucking bitch. That radio call that he was making, whether I stopped it, no matter what would have happened from the time that radio call began, none of it would have been good. That's the long and short of it. Now I think maybe there's a chance that they can radio about something, about a suspicion that they have, then they can go check it out, and then they can, you know, report back that it was nothing, and then maybe that will restart the scripts. But once they're in even a minor state of alert, they will not be continue their conversations, which you have to listen in on all of them. So just like every single mission that involves eavesdropping on somebody, Just like all of those missions. This one's a pain in the ass. Don't worry though, because there's not too many of these. I do think that you eventually unlock a stealth version of this mission, a total stealth, where you're trying not to be seen, of course. And even if you get spotted, if you get spotted in any way, shape, or form, like you're done for. The whole mission's over. No reflex, no nothing. They see you, mission's over. And usually, whenever there's a total stealth mission, more people have sniper rifles. It's kind of a pain. Now it's weird though. I'm used to running across somebody within this base that has a riot suit on. But I haven't run into anybody like that yet.
Hands up. Where are your friends?
Try to get as many people out of here as humanly possible. Just try to.
You gotta extract him.
Oh. Wow. That was pretty good.
Hands up. Speak.
It's a surveillance camera. Don't... Boss, we've just received word that the arms dealer due to inspect Nova Braga Airport is on his way. Once his chopper has arrived, he'll be touring the facilities along with the target. Let him bring the target out into your line of fire.
Helmet. Come on, turn around. This could be useful, but not very. Damn it. They're out there playing the VOD mute song. I watched a speed run, and the resulting VOD mute lasted like 3 missions. It was ridiculous.
Watch out.
I think he was going through mission number 3 or something like that. And like it's playing Kids in America in there, and it muted him for like 2 or 3 solid missions. Like, you get a copyright claim or VOD mute,
It must be carrying the arms dealer.
the damn thing like it just lasts for
Intel
ages.
suggests the target will leave the country with the arms dealer after the inspection. Take him out before that happens.
I would absolutely love to get this guy, but he refuses. Stay still. It's fine.
The arms dealer's chopper is going to patrol for the security forces. Be sure you don't get spotted from above.
This is tough. I gotta get from A to B before he begins that conversation. Thankfully, he's sauntering pretty slowly, so I should be able to do exactly that. He shouldn't be too curious.
That must be the arms dealer. His next move will be to meet the target.
Bezoek van die president. Het is een vooruitgang. Ons komt ons succes in Centraal-Afrika aan die SIR. Die vinden voorval was regtig 'n skande.
Skande is korrek. Nou het 'n klomp huursoldaat-honde van ons te hore gekom. Spooke van 'n dooie era.
Meneer, ek het gehoor dat 'n man by die olieveld die Big Boss was. Die legendariese huursoldaat. Niemand het my vertel dat ons teen iemand soos hy te staan sal. Ons kontrak het slegs gespesifiseer dat ons die fasiliteit beskerm teen plaaslike bevolking teen militante faksies. Beskerming teen Mgsv gerustelde moderne tegnologie is 'n heel ander affære.
Ek het genoeg gehoor. Vir eers het ons 'n inspeksie om af te handel. Wys my die plek.
Begryp. Kom ons begin by die suidelike hek. Stap die kant toe.
He said something about Saner. It was Saner behind the Mgsv oil field incident. How do you want to handle him, boss?
How do I want to handle him? Gently. Come on, Miller, you know me by now. You know I'm just a big old softy. As long as you're crawling, and take this as a life lesson, as long as you're crawling, helicopters can't see you. You're just completely invisible. Now, notably, it's tough to see anybody from a helicopter. Like, search and rescue have probably like the hardest job on Earth, I tell you, because they've got to any given lifeguard can tell you that it's hard to see someone drowning. It is really tough to tell the difference between somebody who's swimming and somebody who's drowning. And it's not like they emit any noise. They're currently drowning. They can't like yell. They're also trying not to drown, so they're not waving their arms above their heads. Like, it's really tough to spot somebody drowning. So then you stick yourself into a helicopter, and of course things are that much more difficult immediately. I wanted to be search and rescue before I joined the Navy. There's something I've spoken before on previous broadcasts about, like, how my career, while I was enlisted in the Navy, active duty, my career during that time, I was unsure if I did anything with my military service, if I scared anybody away or discouraged people from breaking military law, etc. Risky, but we did it. It's a shoo away, D-Dog. D-Dog just barrels through. Okay. You do you, D-Dog. This is your world. We're all just living in it. But my enlisted active duty career as my 4 years as a Master at Arms in the United States Navy. That's anti-terrorism force protection, military police. I was always in the, I guess, right place at the wrong time, given the fact that every time somebody did break military law in some way, shape, or form, I wasn't there. And so I wasn't there to fight, flight, or freeze. I wasn't there to do anything heroic. If I could have mustered up the effort or whatever, the willpower to do so, I was just never there whenever the shit hit the fan. So I had the entire 4 years, I had all this training and all this gobbledygook going on, and then at the end of the day, I have no idea whether or not I moved the needle at all. Did I prevent crimes from occurring just by my presence there? Did my patrolling around, did that prevent people from breaking the law? Did I deter possible terrorists that would have otherwise acted on their terroristic plans just by being there and serving as one part of the equation that makes them think that this is a target that they don't want to aim for, essentially? I have no idea. I have no idea. So there's something within search and rescue where the guy, the person that you rescued would have died without you. It's just like that immediate feedback. You know that you did good. That's something that no matter what, it's going to help you sleep at night, right? You can point to humans, other individuals on this earth that wouldn't be here if it wasn't for your effort.
Hierdie is die noordelike hanger.
Dieselfde grootte. Dit sal fyn wees. Ons het al die ruimte hier wat ons nodig het.
Waarvoor het meneer sulke groot hangers nodig? Is dit nie hoogtyd dat ek weet nie?
Sekerlik, kom nie. Jy en jou manne sal 'n deurslaggewende rol speel vir die volgende fase. Ons gaan die lughawe gebruik as afsetpunt vir die verkoop van nukes.
Verkoop van nukes? Jy's...
Dis wat ons doen. Natuurlik is die verspreiding van kernwapens 'n kopseer, maar wat as jy 'n atoombom op enige plek kan bou sonder spesialisfasiliteite, sonder hoëgraad uraan? Dis die nuwe sakemodel. Dink net aan die markandeel wat ons kan betrek.
Meneer is nie ernstig nie.
Ek is altyd ernstig. Jou verkoopsroetes gaan onvervangbaar wees. En om te dink, as jy nie 'n nukes het, sal die MPLA ook wil kry. Betaling sal uiteindelik groter mynregte wees en dies meer. Maar sedert die oliebaronne Amerika se spoorwegstelsels verlam het, sal daar altyd 'n mark vir olie wees. En nie tussen diamante sal nogal 'n lekker payday wees. 'n Meisie se beste vriend natuurlik, hè. Dis PA vir jou. Elke sakker se skrouende girlfriend is deel van ons bemarkingsspan. En die Afrikaner mors net al geld, koop wapens om mekaar uit te moer, die regte wêreld. Dag snaaks, nee my broer.
Vertel dit vir wie ook al hy vervang. Ons is oorlogmakers. Ek erken dit. Ons maak 'n lewe met bloedgeld. Sonder oorlog is my manne werkloos. Dis ons enigste uitweg van alle ander industrie is uit die streek verdryf deur koloniale magte wat munt slaan. Dis omtrent al wat ek kan hanteer.
Toe gat jakkals.
Het jy genoeg gesien? Sodra die ondersoek verby is, moet jy my Kinshasa toe vat, soos ons saam gestem het.
So jy wil die kans verspeel, die grootste besigheidskans wat ooit jou kant toe gekom het.
Dis fyn met my.
Iemand sal wel jou plek oorneem. Maak nie saak wat ek of jy doen. Die getuie van die ekonomie sal sy gang gaan. Nie terwyl die groot moondhede stry oor al die rykdom.
Die beheertoring is die kant toe.
They feed off the conflict and turn around and blame the colonial governments? Now that's hypocrisy.
Thanks, Mallory. Wonderful input, as usual. 10 out of 10. So, that was one of the things that I really wanted. I've gone on record several times during these broadcasts and otherwise saying very specifically and very directly that I was lucky to have gone with the Navy with their only having to run 1.5 miles every 6 months or so, because one of my legs is shorter than the other. I broke my leg whenever I was 5. It was in a cast for a while, and one of my legs grew longer than the other while it was in a cast. It happens. With that being said, that caused me innumerable things. Compound fractures in my shins, massive amounts of trouble just revolving around that. And it's not anything that I ever, hid from the people in the military. They always knew that I broke my leg whenever I was 5. It's in my medical record. Just nobody put it together that maybe that's related to all of the problems that I have trying to run. Not until about 2015, after well over 10 years of struggling with the task of just trying to jog from A to B. You know, and if it was any other force, you know, having to run much more often, hell, I might not have legs. Without any amount of exaggeration, I have repeatedly looked at prosthetic legs and thought about cutting off at least one of my legs. No. Son of a fucking bitch. I can't win. Can't win. I'm gonna have to somehow or another get a refill. Or maybe I just leave the people at the gate alone. They won't be a factor in this simulation. I don't know where the guy in the car ends up since he does this little loop-de-loop thing. I don't know if he becomes a problem or not. It didn't matter what I did there. There's a possibility that if I could have whipped out a magazine, then I could have thrown it in the exact perfect arc. But whipping out that magazine and being able to aim it just right, throw it in such a perfect arc to ping it off of the guy who spotted me's head, that's a really tall order. To do all of that all at once, that's a really, really tall order. There's a possibility I could have squeezed out of that situation, but just not a big possibility, not a large one. So I don't think I need to get this guy in the guard tower here. I think I can safely sort of leave him alone. And the guy behind him,
that's the target's predicted location.
I don't think that I need to bother him at all.
Carefully before moving in.
But this guy, I don't know where this guy goes. This gentleman who gets into the car. So I'm going to go ahead and snatch and grab him. I'm going to try to get him out of here as quickly as I can, and hopefully this gentleman in front of us is not going to spot his exit. Okay. So now...
He's coming too.
Now we're cooking with gas. Everybody's okay. Nobody's real suspicious. Not really.
Boss, we've just received word that the arms dealer due to inspect Nova Braga Airport is on his way. Once his chopper has arrived, he'll be touring the facilities along with the target. Let him bring the target out into your line of fire.
I'm going to try to make this as easy on me as possible. I'm going to try to snatch and grab these two guys in the walker gears, and maybe somebody on my way to the airport control room, I guess. The airport main building. And I was really lucky too, because he was going to report that he just got fired at.
Down a gunship from the front. You won't win in a head-to-head shootout.
It's hard to figure out whenever one of the guys in the walker gears are going to go ahead and
Watch out.
use the radio, because they don't have to whip it out from their back pocket like everybody else.
Subject on board. Leave the rest to us.
It's tough. There we go.
There's a chopper landing. It must be carrying the arms dealer. Keep your eyes on him. Our intel suggests the target will leave the country with the arms dealer after the inspection. Take him out before that happens.
Watch him just appear. Ah.
That must be the arms dealer. His next move will be to meet the target.
Rid of you shall be useful. Everybody's too far away to hear his departure, except for the arms dealer, who seems to be completely unaffected by it. Doesn't care too much.
He's coming too. Roger that.
I'm gonna try to do something special here. I'm gonna try to crawl in here and try to listen to their convo from the floor below them. See how I do with that approach.
Besoek van die president. Dis 'n voorreg om skuld rond sukses in Sentraal-Afrika aan die SAIR. Die vriende op die veldvoorval was regtig 'n skande.
Skande is korrek. Hier staat onder van ons nodig. Spooke, goeie ere.
Meneer, ek het gehoor dat 'n man by die veld die Big Boss was. Daar is 'n huurvriend. Iemand het my vertel dat ons teen iemand soos hy te staan sal kom. Ons kontrakt slegs gespesialiseer dat ons die fasiliteit beskerm teen die plaaslike bevolking en militante faksies. Beskerming teen Kiev's geregistreerde moderne technologie is 'n heel ander affære.
Ek het genoeg hoor. Vereers het ons 'n inspeksie om af te haal. Wys my die plek.
Begryp. Kom ons begin by die suidelike kant. Stap die kant toe.
That guy talking with the arms dealer. Could he be the target?
Uh-oh. Made a noise. Kick that box. Where is the other walker gear? I figured while I'm over here, let me take out one of the walker gears. The one that's always over here towards the end of the that sucks. Activated my damn reflex. I'll lose some points for that. This guy down here is 32 meters away, so he can't hear that Fulton extraction. This guy, and the reason that he came running up here
Subject on board. Leave the rest to us.
is because he heard me kick his
Does the arms dealer
friend.
make contact with the target? Can you see the target anywhere near the dealer?
Kind of sprint to catch that one. I had plenty of time.
Dit is die suidelike kant. Die dak het al meerder daar gesien, maar ons gaan dit regmaak in 'n jagtrak.
Baie ruimte. Is goed. Dis die noordelike henger so groot soos die een.
Ja, en dit is dieselfde op plek. Dit is 'n bietjie ver om te loop. Kom ons vat die kaart.
Beslis.
Net
That guy talking with the arms dealer. Could he be the target?
We're doing good so far. So my whole obsession with trying to be able to look at this world and point to people in it that would have been gone without my direct intervention. That whole obsession, that comes to that's the whole reason behind the pre-med thing and everything else. I wasn't able to do it with my time in the military, not to my standards. I wasn't able to do it either in my time active duty with the Navy, my time active drilling reserves in the Navy, or my time with the U.S. Army Senior Reserve Officer Training Corps in college. So I wasn't able to do it through any of those means. And they told me, after they didn't have a job with me, they didn't have a job for me after I graduated with my bachelor's degree. They told me to come back with a master's in psychology, and we'll have a job for you then as a social worker, or come back with a PhD, we'll have a job for you as a psychologist. So I asked for any other options, and they told me about military medical school. Now I'm one undergraduate course away. I just have to do organic chemistry with lab. Once that's said and done, then I'll finally be done with all undergraduate courses for good and move on to postgraduate stuff. Be a doctor, save lives,
Dieselfde grootte. Dit sal fyn
etc.
wees. Ons het al die ruimte hier wat ons nodig het.
Waarvoor het meneer sulke groot hangers nodig? Is dit nie hoogtyd dat ek weet nie?
Sekerlik, kom nie. Jy en jou manne sal 'n deurslaggewende rol speel vir die volgende fase. Ons gaan die lughawe gebruik as afsetpunt vir die verkoop van nukes.
Verkoop van nukes. Jy's
Dis wat ons doen. Natuurlik is die verspreiding van kernwapens 'n kopseer, maar wat as jy 'n atoombom op enige plek kan bou sonder spesialisfasiliteite, sonder hoëgraad uraan? Dis die nuwe sakemodel. Dink net aan die markandeel wat ons kan betrek.
meneer's nie ernstig nie.
Ek is altyd ernstig. Jou verkoopsroetes gaan onvervangbaar wees. En om te dink, as jy nie 'n nukes het, sal die MPLA ook wil kry. Betaling sal uiteindelik groter mynregte wees en dies meer. Maar sedert die oliebaronne Amerika se spoorwegstelsels verlam het, sal daar altyd 'n mark vir olie wees. Uniete se diamante sal nogal 'n lekker payday wees. 'n Meisie se beste vriend natuurlik, hè. Dis PR vir jou. Elke sakker se skrouende girlfriend is deel van ons bemarkingsplan. En die Afrikaner mors net al die geld. Koop wapens om mekaar uit te moer. Die regte wêreld. Dag snaaks, nee my broer.
Vertel dit vir wie ook al my vervang. Ons is oorlogmakers. Ek erken dit. Ons maak 'n lewe met bloedgeld. Sonder oorlog is my manne werkloos. Dis ons enigste uitweg, want alle ander industrie is uit die streek verdryf deur koloniale magte wat munt slaan. Dis omtrent al wat ek kan hanteer.
Toe gat die jakkals.
Het jy genoeg gesien? Dra die ondersoek verby is, moet jy my chasse toevat soos ons saam gestem het.
So jy wil die kans verspeel, die grootste besigheidskans wat ooit jou kant toe gekom het. Dis fyn met my. Iemand sal wel jou plek oorneem. Maak nie saak wat ek of jy doen nie. Die getuie van die ekonomie sal sy gang gaan. Nie terwyl die groot moondhede stry oor al die rykdom.
Die beheertoring is die kant.
That guy talking with the arms dealer. Could he be the target?
Still doesn't know. I haven't positively ID'd him. Super important to do so. The Metal Gear Solid, the Metal Gear series in general has been really good at humanizing those who we do not normally humanize. So, like, back in the old-fashioned days, during the Cold War, media had it be like super duper easy to just make a bad guy out of anybody who was Russian. You remember the old days, probably. You get some guy to speak with a Russian accent and make him do anything. You can just make him do anything, and they're a free bad guy. And everybody will automatically root for whoever the hell's not speaking with a Russian accent, and root against the Russian guy. The whole everything. It's so weird how all of our media and everything just revolves around like war, major world events. Everything's so simple and transparent at the end of the day. And people don't even think about it. Our sniper friend up top has woken up. They won't call an alert if they just wake up. You'd think that they'd be clued in to what happened by the dart falling out of their neck, but whatever. So this whole like humanizing the unhumanizable, that actually came in and became part of the process as far back as Metal Gear 2 for the MSX. Believe it or not, it's hard to believe that could be something as far back as then, but it was. Whenever the star of Metal Gear 1 and 2, Solid Snake, makes his way all the way through the game and everything and confronts Big Boss, the main bad guy, Big Boss says, "You idiot, you just destroyed an entire nation that I developed for war orphans. You're the bad guy."
Take out the target before it gets there.
And Solid Snake says, "Okay," and then beats him to death with his bare hands and sets him on fire.
Talking with the arms dealer. Could he be the target?
Set off.
The target is going to get away. Hurry up and
Alert,
take him out.
really? There goes their aerial exit. But they'll be able to reconfigure from there and figure out what to do. But they're not currently in full panic mode. If you do an entire alert, the target will attempt to escape this base by going outside, grabbing a vehicle, and moving on from there. So he will escape this base on land
Roger that.
if you get spotted and you don't manage to stop him in time. Son of a fucking bitch, dude. I can't fucking win. I can't fucking win.
Boss, come in. Boss! Boss!
What a pain in the ass.
Eliminate the high-ranking CFA official in
So,
charge
in
of
case you don't know
supplying
my
weapons to
history,
United.
really,
The target stays at Braga Airport. Head to the airport
after I graduated with my bachelor's degree, and I was denied a commission from the United States Army. They just didn't have a job for me after my time in Senior Reserve Officer Training Corps. After all that mess happened, the next big thing was I went crazy. I got sent to the loony bin. I was put in the insane asylum, the psychiatric inpatient program at Jefferson Barracks Veterans Affairs Medical Center in St. Louis, Missouri. And so they slapped me in there and they locked me in there for a week. And finally, I was diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactive disorder, the major depressive disorder, a generalized anxiety disorder, and
You made it. I've sent the information to your map screen.
high blood pressure, eventually high cholesterol,
Around the target and plan carefully before moving in.
and my conditions were actually pretty strong. I ended up, at the end of the day, being prescribed the maximum possible dose of antidepressants that human beings are capable of being given. So I was fucking heavily depressed, and I was heavily affected with ADHD. I had the strongest depression and ADHD that people can have, according to my medication doses. I'll sit back and make sure neither of these gentlemen see their friend being carted away. Okay, neither of them are. Good. So,
Subject on board. Leave the rest to us.
knowing suddenly
We
that
just received word that the arms dealer
I've that I've had this many things holding me back my entire life, and I've managed to persevere anyways. You know, that was particularly poignant. Kind of a check on my resume, right? It's like doing a bunch of things that two armed people do, and then suddenly realizing that you only have one of those. But besides that bragging point, it also described some of my difficulties. It's like, why, even whenever I had like all the money in the world, or rather, you know, quite a bit of it, why was I still unable to really be happy? You know, that sort of stuff. Why did I start? And I didn't graduate until late 2017 with a 4-year degree. Now, notably, of those who graduate college, 70% of those students don't graduate on time. So I'm in good company. I don't need to beat myself up for doing something or not being able to do something that really nobody's able to do. If 7 out of 10 regular people without any illnesses are unable to do it, then I don't need to beat myself up for not being able to do it. But despite all this, like I said, it was quite an illuminating thing to discover all of these things holding me back It explained a lot. Like I said, it was kind of a notch on my resume. Like, wow, not only did this guy succeed in 2 different military branches, but he did this with all of this stuff holding it back. You know, suddenly that sounds like a pretty cool story. You know, and of course, at the end of the day, I'm in talks with Hollywood. You know, they're all chomping at the bit to do an explosive autobiography about my life. I think Michael Bay wants to be involved. I'm kidding. No,
You gotta extract him.
nobody gives a rat's ass about me, and I really, I really don't really want him to. Just complicate my life.
Arms dealer, all right. Do you see the target nearby?
Op soek van die president. Dis 'n voorreg, meneer. Ons skuld al ons sukses in Sentraal-Afrika aan die SANR. Die vind Olieveld-voorval was regtig
That
geskik.
looks like the target.
Korrek. Nou het 'n klomp hier soldaathonde van ons te hore gekom. Spooke, dooie ere.
Ek het gehoor dat 'n man by die Olieveld die Big Boss was. Die legendariese huursoldaat. Iemand het my vertel dat ons uitgesaag gekom. Ons kontrak
So that kicked off, it wasn't just the medications. It kicked off an entire year of therapy where I was in therapy every single day of the week, 5 days a week for well over a year. That continues to this day. I continue not daily therapy, but the therapy, it continues. Whether it's every week with some programs, every month, every 2 months, or a sort of standard schedule of every 3 months. There was the VA Move program. They really wanted to make sure that I was taking care of myself physically, make sure that none of my, mental disorders are either caused or worsened by my poor ability to take care of myself physically. So there's the VA Move program. That was 1 day a week. Veterans Affairs Move program. There was the a visit with my psychiatrist. That happened every week. Visit with my psychologist. That was at Scott Air Force Base. The interpersonal relations group, that was with the VA, Veterans Affairs, and the Violence Prevention Center in Belleville, Illinois, a civilian organization, which it was for abuse counseling. That's my ex-wife. She wasn't a very cool person. Didn't do very cool things. Crimes. She did a lot of crimes. But, so with all of that being said and done, that was sort of what I went through. But as a result of all of that, for the first time in my life, my condition, my life condition, my life actually started to improve. And that was particularly poignant for me. Remember, again, that I was active duty in the Navy, active drilling reserves in the Navy, and then switched over to Army Senior Reserve Officer Training Corps. So that's experience in 2 separate branches of the United States military, in one capacity or the next. And I'd been to about 5 countries over the course of my lifetime, which is particularly difficult, being born and raised in America like myself, having most countries that you can possibly visit be on the other side of the planet. I'll talk to Europeans and they'll be like, only 5 countries? I'd been to 7 before I was aged 7. It's like, wow, that's very cool. Whenever your countries are as far apart as United States, but whenever you're on the other side of the planet from most countries, then things get a little bit strange. A little bit more expensive to just frolic from thing to thing. And I have to tell them this, and I have to, point out the fact that I've also been to, most of the continental United States as well. So you've been to a lot of countries, I've been to a lot of states. I've traveled more of a total distance. Put those smug Europeans in their place, But I've been to 5 different countries, had experience in one capacity or the next in 2 different military branches, gone all over the world. I've had a lot of money, I've had not that much money, and nothing really made a difference, not with it whenever it came to my life. And so the first major milestone was those pills. And how the hell, after all of that experience, were they going to look at me at 30 years old and tell me that my life was going to completely change for the better, and all it was going to require was 2 small pills a day whenever it comes to my antidepressants, or even 3 pills. I'd taken a ton of vitamins. I'd taken a ton of minerals. I'd taken a ton of everything. I've had gluten-free, grass-free, or grass-fed, whatever. I've had all of that crap from all over the planet. 2 different branches of the military. Remember, I was taking very good care of myself. You cannot blame my circumstances off of my own actions or lack thereof. You can't say, oh, well, you were just lazy, and if you would have just worked out, hell, I worked out all over the planet. Well, if you would have just eaten, I was eating the grass-fed, cruelty-free everything. Like, I've done all the stuff. And to have a couple of doctors sit there and tell me that, a couple of pills are going to make all the difference. Of course I didn't believe them. Of course I didn't believe them. But they did. They did make all the difference. And so, first, it's time for me to spread the good word to as many people that will listen. That, hey, modern day medicine works, who knew? But also, it was the additional thing of looking at the eyes of a psychiatrist and realizing that that person was the only thing that made a difference in my life, in the whole world. Several different languages and everything. I've been to nearly all of the continental United States. I've been to Guangzhou, China for a layover. I think it's Guangzhou. Could be wrong. It was a layover, but it counts. South Korea. Stationed there for about 3 years. Went to Japan on vacation while I was stationed in Korea. Spent about 3 years of my life, grand total, in and out of the military in South Korea. And technically, whenever I did a tour of North Korea, there's a part in that tour where you're technically right across that line, and you're technically in North Korea. So, bam, count it, right? But, that's it. I haven't been to any of the Earths or any of the other stuff. So it's mostly America and Asia, pretty much. But it is what it is. So, I'd been all the way around the planet, pretty much, several different times. And at the end of the day, after trying so hard in so many different ways and spending so much money trying to make my life better in some way, shape, or form, some guy who's a psychiatrist, like what even is that, says, hey, you know, take these magic pills and your whole life is going to be better. And I'm like, bullshit, but I'm out of ideas. So I'm just going to go ahead and do whatever the hell you say and then hope it works. And good God, it worked. It actually worked. So at the end of the day, if I'm going to point at different people on this planet and say, you're here because of me, and if I wasn't here, and if I didn't do what I did, then you wouldn't be here. If I'm going to do that, if I'm going to be that guy, then there's many ways to do that, right? It's that search and rescue thing. Maybe I could go into corrections, you know, be a corrections officer, so I can, you know, be out there and put myself in more situations involving the police or something like that. But I've done that, you know, I've done, yeah, it was the military version of that, but I've done that, you know what I mean? So what about if I just do what was done for me? If I'm going to be anybody, then I would love to be that guy. I'd love to be that guy that tells somebody that these 2 little magical pills that are going to cost you next to nothing with your insurance or whatever, these 2 little magic pills are going to change your whole life. They're going to make your whole life better. And sure, they're probably not going to believe me, but that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether or not you believe it. I can remember going through college and them being like, you know, I thought that my time exercising, working out, was the primary thing that was that caused all of the difference. It made all the difference. Because working out led to a career in the military, and it raised my confidence and everything else. Blah, blah, blah. So I started in exercise science, and then they told me that you can't get people to start working out. All you can do is have people come to you as a certified strength and conditioning specialist, personal trainer. Have people come to you and then charge them money for asking them how to exercise or diet or both. So like, that doesn't help anybody. I never used a personal trainer. So I switched over to psychology, and they said the same thing basically. They said, hey, you know, like, if you don't believe in psychology, it can't help you. I was like, that's fucking bullshit. But I didn't think that medicine was going to work. I didn't think that, you know, 2 little pills was going to outclass the effort of going around the world and spending so much money on so many different things. I didn't think that modern medicine was going to help.
I know something about the experiments going on in that factory. Well, there's no time now. Act now or the target will leave the airport. Boss, the target is going to get away.
But medicine doesn't care if you believe in it or not. Medicine does not care. It's going to work whether you want it to or not. Nobody died in that explosion. We are doing very good. Try to be extra special cautious here, unlike last time. He's got a helmet on, so wow, is there like even a way for me to do this? You don't have any communications, so you shouldn't be able to call for reinforcements at all. Can't see me. There we go. The game forgot that I took out all of the communications equipment. Okay.
He's coming too. Roger that.
No. Come on. Don't panic. Okay. They just killed one of their own. If it was nobody important. You can't see me through this, you bastards, so quit pretending that you can. That's rude. Yeah, there's not much else I can do. I don't mind being spotted. I can always run through the mission real quick to get the S rank. Looks like it might have been their sniper that they took out. Rude. Trying not to get killed is always a good idea. Okay. More people on that side, less people on that side. There we go. There we go. Okay. Try to get this last one.
You gotta extract him.
We got him. The mech warriors are down. Toss a grenade. That's what they say by eat this.
Subject on
That's
board.
what they mean.
Leave the rest to us.
They're not about to toss me a sandwich, as you might suspect. Seems like somebody has just commandeered one of the walker gears. Well, to prevent it from happening again, let's go ahead and take these down, guys. We got all the time in the world now. This task is done. Target doesn't want to go anywhere. Not this time. For some reason. So, just relax. Have fun. Running in a circle. What he loves to do. Get him off there. Get him out of here.
He's coming too. Roger that.
D-Dog trying to get himself shot. He just loves it. Getting himself shot is like his favorite thing to do. One last one. And we'll be done with all this mech warrior nonsense. No more armored cores. It all sounds very serious. The soundtrack's got ramped up and everything. I'm just kind of casually taking my time, reducing the robot populations. Here we go. Don't have to deal with that no more. On to the next great big adventure. Okay. They're all hiding in here, so let's do some room clearing if we can. They're fucking like randomly throwing grenades. There's one. Get a refill on grenades anyways. Make this part a lot easier. Bingo! Alright. Well, the only thing left really is to wait for that guy to get out of that tower way over there that he keeps firing me at me at. Oh yeah, that's right. He's trying to interrogate him.
Where are the others?
Can't do that while there's a full alert.
Siempre nos vamos a la mierda. Vigila con
No visuals.
He's coming too. Roger that.
So either this guy over yonder, he's been firing at me from here where the camera's facing. Either that's gonna guy's gonna come check, or some of these guys that's been hitting me from the tarmac over yonder are gonna come check up on me.
You gotta extract
And
him.
they're either gonna see me or not. Obviously, at this point in time, we've already established that it's not a big deal either way. And then we're going to go ahead and fire up a search, which means that this alert is going to end.
On board. Leave the
And I get
rest
to
to us.
interrogate our boys here. All I can do is fucking pray that that's a successful extraction. Nope, it's not. So we're gonna have to remember to do that. I think we're gonna have to make sure to take the arms dealer.
You gotta extract him.
And that's less of a concern that we get that safely.
You completed the objective. Now get out of there.
That shield poses a bit of an issue, as you might be guessing. Fucking bullshit. Just trying to grab him and he stabs me. There we go. Well, I gotta get him out from under cover. The roof over his head, this little deck, carport type of thing going on.
He's coming too. Roger that.
Alright, hopefully that guy in that tower over yonder comes out to play eventually. Yeah, he's still there. So as you saw, and whenever we were interrogating the arms dealer, he's not the he's a lot like the Major during that mission on the trail. See, he was shooting with his sidearm. He's already gotten rid of his rifle. Did not mean to push the punch button. Big button, I guess.
He's coming too. Roger that.
So you see the game struggling to remember whether or not they actually have comms. So earlier, they yelled at HQ for help. That's it. That's all she wrote.
Roger.
Well, at least we got pretty much all the mission tasks.
Spit it out.
Where are the others?
So we can hurry up and get the S rank and be done with this. But whenever the alert was going on,
He's coming too.
they called for reinforcements, and they got the reinforcements that they called for. So the game did not remember that this place has no comms. I took out the comms as side op, I think. You know me, I've mentioned this before in previous broadcasts, but shooting the occasional vehicle that the enemy has. If I had the Fulton upgrade to get him out of here, then I would just use that, but shooting all their vehicles so that they don't have access to them is the next big thing. It has no in-game like thing. There's nothing that there's no advantages to doing it in-game, but for role-playing purposes, sure. In war, it would be called denying the enemy, as in denying the enemy access to automobiles. Denying the enemy access to transportation, stuff like that. If you've never watched the HBO series on Generation Kill, it's quite interesting. I highly recommend the book. I actually recommend the book over the series, believe it or not. I know. Book's better than the movie or whatever. In this case, book's better than the TV show, I guess. You've probably heard that a million times. But in this case, there's actually stuff in the book that wasn't in the series.
Mission complete. Great work.
I think that's the lowest ranking I've gotten so far.
Boss, about that target you extracted. He says he wants to work for us. Having talked to him, he doesn't seem that bad a guy. Apparently the arms dealer's people demanded they prolong the conflict, and he couldn't go against the management. That doesn't excuse everything he did, but his skills will make him a useful asset. Let's put him to good use.
But while I was interrogating...
Development on that new battle gear weapon that Emmerich was talking about. If you want to see how development's going, come take a look for yourself.
While I was interrogating the arms dealer, much like on the trail, he's not actually the president of his arms dealer company like he said he was. He's another actor, another slick businessman who's just pretending to be the president. A copy of a copy of a copy. All these mysterious shadow organizations. It's the world that was in Metal Gear Solid 2. Even though this game takes place so many years before, Cypher was already busy making that world a reality. It's a lot like the world that's represented in that show Burn Notice, if you've ever watched it. It's like there's always more layers. You never get to the bottom of it. And even trying to do so is a waste of time. It's designed that way. After mission 22 is mission 23. That's the official mission that involves germs. That's the official everyone gets sick mission.
Roger.
That is when it happens, according to the game. And at some point in time, I was worried about my men. I was worried about my peeps, my diamond dogs, all my little soldiers. And I wanted to become as good as possible before I started losing men to sickness. And so I just sat there and did everything, absolutely everything in the game, except for mission 23. Did absolutely everything. Scared to lose men to this disease in the game, this man-made disease, this parasite. Bad stuff. Don't want the bad stuff to happen. Want no bad to happen. I brought this up on other broadcasts, but throughout the time that I was in Army Senior Reserve Officer Training Corps, a lot of that curriculum, a lot of that training. Remember that if you don't have a bachelor's degree, then you could be enlisted. You could just become enlisted. Head to your recruiters, blah blah blah. You probably know the spiel, even if you've never done it before. So this time we're just going to get it done real quick. We're not going to listen to any conversations. It's going to be done and over with, super quick. The only thing extra that we really got to do is grab the arms dealer. Otherwise, wouldn't be necessary. So, if you have a bachelor's degree, then you can go into officer candidate school and become an officer in the United States military. They're the people that get saluted and stuff like that. They're the ones that give orders, stuff like that. And they make roughly double what a enlisted troop makes. So you look at that sort of earnings rate over a period of time, and even if it's over a very small amount of time, you can see that it's very clear that if you're going to invest in some way, shape, or form in your own life, then it would probably behoove you to go ahead and become an officer instead of enlisted, if you possibly can. A lot of people are just like, I like to work and stuff like that. They have a ton of little objections to being an officer. I'm not a sir. I work for a living. All that kind of bullshit. As if becoming an officer means that they're going to glue your ass to an office chair and they're not going to let you work, right? Like Craig Mullaney, whenever he was out and about with all the rest of his forces, like he just didn't pull the trigger. The late great Demo Dick Marcinko, even though because he became an officer, suddenly he just gave up all work while being the guy. No, they don't glue your ass to the seat. You can work as much, or a lot of times, almost as little as you want. You have more power. It's your responsibility with that great power to do what's right, right? It's all up to you. Be the change that you wish to see in the world. But it's very clear that even if the cost of school is astronomical, you'll make it back very, very quickly if you just go through 4 years of college before you begin a day of military service, active duty or otherwise. Wow, I am just getting past everybody without a care in the world.
arms dealer due to inspect Nova Braga Airport is on his way. Once his chopper has arrived, they'll be touring the facilities along with the target. Let him bring the target out into your line of fire. That's the target. Looks like we found him.
Now, as long as we don't cause any alerts, then the arms dealer will arrive on schedule. So while we are waiting for the arms dealer, so we can go ahead and fold them out of here. There we go. While we're waiting for him, we might as well
That's an enemy gunship.
grab as many soldiers as we
Don't
want.
try to take down a gunship from the front. The chopper will be arriving any minute. Watch out.
Where are you?
It's a surveillance camera. Don't get spotted. There's a chopper landing. It must be carrying the arms dealer. Keep your eyes on him. Our intel suggests the target will leave the country with the arms dealer after the inspection. Take him out before that happens.
So, if you have a bachelor's degree before you begin day one of your time in the military, then you can go through what's called Officer Candidate School, OCS.
Be sure you don't get spotted from above. That must be the arms dealer.
Oh, 100% this time. Get him out of here, get this last mission task. Complete bullshit. But oh well. The walker gears can be a pile of shit. Hell yeah. Missed out on the car, but otherwise, I can Mambo number 5 on out of here. Don't forget that they have a chopper though. No, we did the best we could.
We can't let them follow you. Throw off the enemies on your tail first.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Doing it, cuz. Aren't you proud of me?
Alright, the coast is clear. Mission complete.
Okay, so hopefully that's our S rank. If not, I'll just run it again, and this time we won't have to grab the
Mission complete. That right there is why
arms
you're
dealer.
the best, boss. The one and only.
Either way, that terrible performance warrants an X rank. It's that easy.
Boss, about that target you extracted. He says he wants to work for us. Having talked to him, he doesn't seem that bad a guy. Apparently, the arms dealer's people demanded they prolong the conflict, and he couldn't go against the management. That doesn't excuse everything he did, but his skills will make him a useful asset. Let's put him to good use. I've tossed that arms dealer in the break. The way he tells it, he worked in logistics with the South African army, but he was headhunted by Singer. Whoever gave him the orders would only have been a pawn of Skullface anyway. But apparently he hasn't been in contact for some time. He doesn't know much about Singer, not even what its president looks like. Just another cog in the machine.
Yep. The target greets him as the president. And he comes in as if he's the president. He comes in as if he's the president of the organization and, like, he's ready to do business. Comes in on a helicopter and everything that provides extra security, all this kind of stuff. But nope, he's just an actor. Another cog in the machine. Fucking hell. Okay. Knock out some of these while we're here. Why not? So if you already have a bachelor's degree, before you begin your first day in the military, then you can go ahead and go for OCS, Officer Candidate School. And then because you already have it, just go, and in about 3 months or so, you'll be headed off to your military job training, which is often for the military in general. It's usually called BOLIC, or Basic Officer Leadership Course, and that'll be your job training as a basic officer in the military in whatever branch that you're in. So that's that. But that's for people who already have a bachelor's degree. What if you still require a bachelor's degree? Well, there are ways to sort of serve the military in one way, shape, form, or another while simultaneously earning your bachelor's degree. So that's kind of wild, right? There are ways to get the military to pay for your bachelor's degree, to pay for your school, before you even really serve a day in the military. Kind of crazy, right? I hit him with that smoke grenade. There we go. Yeah. I bet I can get to him. I could. People will watch, they'll watch cutscenes from Metal Gear Solid 3, and they'll be like, whenever Snake encounters the boss the second time after a virtuous mission, why doesn't he just shoot her? It's like she's running over to him and everything, why doesn't he just shoot her? But even inside the damn cutscene you can see that she arrives at him, throws him down to the ground, and takes apart his weapon before he's able to get the end of the barrel of his weapon aimed at her.
Where are the others?
He can't even lift his gun up before she's already closed the gap between them.
Subject on board.
He goes and he sprints behind this thing, takes cover, and then goes ahead and tells CP there's nothing to worry about. Yeah, couldn't find anybody. Call off the alert. Not that big of a deal.
He's coming too. Roger that.
Come on, big boy. Come over here, I'll stab ya.
Nou nie geraas hoor. Ondersoek van nader.
Where are your friends?
Now he's been indisposed of, so now CP's going to call him and ask for an update, and then call an alert on everybody. Why is this guy on the other side of the walls? Is that happening?
Ek wil nie trek nie. Iemand help my!
I think the blueprint's in here somewhere. I can't remember. One of those interrogations revealed the exact location, but if I looked on the map, there'd be like every little Tom, Dick, and Harry that's in this damn airport showing up on it right now. Too hard to see the specific thingamajig that I'm looking for. Okay, so that is that. Move on to the next thing. Sniper on the roof. Boom. Sometimes I display incredible skill. Sometimes I very much do the opposite. I've only had about 1,200 hours in this game between the PS3 copy, the PS4 copy, which is what this is, upscaled to PS5, and the Steam copy, and the Xbox 360 copy. Yeah, I got them all. Every version of this game, and let me tell you, they're all completely different. I'm kidding, no they are not. But I will tell you that the pop-in problem is, of course, it's the least bad on the Steam copy, which you probably already guessed.
Subject on board. Leave the rest to us.
I mean, then again, I had a Republic of Gamers laptop. Bought it like I was so. The thing was, okay, through my time in college, I've gone through like a trillion laptop sort of things, like a trillion of them. So like at first I started college with this like ancient Windows laptop. I can't even tell if he's on this side of the fence, and he is not. He's not on this side of the fence. That's just his gun and light poking through. Cool, awesome. Alright. So there's one over here by this station, and there's one that's kind of by Wariamasa. Now, does the airport always come with a four-wheel drive over there, or is that only during certain missions? Looks like it's only during certain missions. On the plus side, though, I will be able to escape with provisions now. Be slightly faster on my way from hither to thither. Getting some of these side missions done. So here's the thing, right? Apparently, well, there was never a problem whenever I was in Lewis and Clark Community College of Godfrey, Illinois. Even though it's got some good-sized fields and everything, the primary campus just isn't that, you know, long of a distance in between different buildings and stuff like that to go to your different classes. So that was never a problem. But whenever I had to move on, once I completed my associate's degree, my transfer degree, then I had to move on. I had to move on to Southern Illinois University of Edwardsville. That was like the nearest thing to move on to, so I did. And Southern Illinois University of Edwardsville, they're calling CT because I stole their truck. But Southern Illinois University of Edwardsville apparently has like one of the largest campuses on planet Earth, I think. It's something ridiculous like that. So the distances between classes are massive. My youngest aunt can tell you all about it. She's got a master's degree from Southern Illinois University at Edwardsville, and she said that after she graduated, she put on like 15 pounds simply because she was no longer no longer get back and forth from classes. It's not an exaggeration. While I was doing U.S. Army Senior Reserve Officer Training Corps, I have to be very specific about that. You always get people that think I'm talking about the junior one in high school, and I am not. Oh, what a pain in the ass. So, while I was going through the Senior Reserve Officer Training Corps, the U.S. Army, there was a course on campus that was straight, and it was 5 miles long. So that was part of physical training, was going for 5-mile jogs on this course. And of course, there was plenty of room for a regular track, which we hardly ever use because, you know, the varsity sports are using that. There was even a track where I think every back and forth on that particular track was like I think every back and forth was 1 mile. And there was a point in time where they went ahead and made us do enough back and forths to do a grand total of 12 miles. One more, just a smidge higher. Boom.
Spit it out.
Where are your friends?
Fantastic. You see the guy over there waking up the damn sniper again? How about you and your sniper buddy both eat shit? How about that, huh?
Leave the rest to us.
That's just fucking bullshit, dude. There we go. Very close capture.
Spit it out. Where are the others?
That's the great risk that you take whenever you knock people out instead of killing them outright.
Where are your friends?
But there was a point in time where they went ahead and made us do this course back and forth for 12 whole miles. There was a, whenever I first got there, you know, junior year, of course, I had my transfer degree. Whenever I first got there and started, you know, doing all that with them, they had a commander? I think it was a lieutenant colonel. It was an 05. Enlisted ranks go from E1 to E9, and officer ranks go from 01 to 010. So he was an 05.
Where are the others?
And he had like an in-house, this was his requirement. He wanted everyone to be able to do a 12-mile ruck march with a mile time of like a 15-minute mile pace.
Where are your friends?
So he wanted us to be able to have maybe 35 pounds on our back, something like that. It wasn't too much. I think like the standard load for your average soldier in the field is more like 65 pounds. Back in World War II, those days, it was well over 100 pounds. They didn't have all the lightweight equipment that we have on the modern era.
Subject on board. Leave the rest to us.
But nowadays, you can go with something a lot less. So, with about 35 pounds on our back, he expected us to do, you know, to run, walk, sort of half jog, 1 mile every 15 minutes.
You gotta extract him.
So we had to do that we had to build up our endurance until we got 12 miles out of that. So I know what you're thinking. You know, a mile every 15 minutes? Do you mean at some point in time while you were with Senior Reserve Officer Training Corps at a college, you had to go through a 3-hour workout? You are correct, sir. Yes. Yes, that is correct. So if you already have a bachelor's degree with the, before you start your first day in the military, you can go ahead and do that, that whole thing where you go to officer candidate school. But if you don't, you can go to a junior military college. And I know that that's a very strange name for it, but trust me, it's good. So you can go to a junior military college, and they will allow you to commission as an officer in the United States Army. It's just the Army that does this. And then you won't begin your first day of service until you finish your bachelor's degree, which means that by the time that you begin your first day of service after receiving your bachelor's degree, you'll already have 2 years of service. And it also means that you will you'll be receiving like $2,000 a month, or it's probably closer to about $2,500 a month. You'll be paid full time the entire time that you're finishing your bachelor's degree. You are supposed to finish it on time, etc., but them's the breaks. And of course, because this is such a fucking sweet deal, it's very competitive. It's very hard to get into a junior military college. But somehow it's harder to get into the military academy at West Point, of course. The thing is, with the military academy at West Point and the U.S. Naval Academy and stuff like that, even though these are military academies, they offer pretty much the same benefits, with very few exceptions, than Ivy League schools. And they're kind of considered Ivy League schools. It's a method for debate, but they're about at least as selective as Ivy League schools. So you get people like Craig Mullaney that wrote the book The Unforgiving Minute, The Soldier's Education. You got him, and he had a choice. He could either go to Harvard or Yale or wherever. He had very, very high GPA, or
Where are your friends?
he could go to the military academy. He was offered all of them. And he chose the military academy at West Point. So that's what he did.
Subject on board. Leave the
So that
rest
kind of
to us.
stuff, you know, the military academies are known for their difficulty, but at the end of the day, they are colleges. And people who go there are college kids. Now, whenever I say that they are known for their difficulty, there was a show that I believe was on National Geographic that covered, like, the class of 2001 or something like that. You know, of course, they began, you know, recording the show before the big event in 2001 that we should all never forget, right? So they didn't know that it was going to happen, but that was the particular class that they recorded. And as a result, they pretty much recorded the class, pretty much the class after Craig Mullaney graduated. And that's neither here nor there. But they recorded the class of 2001, and the show is called Surviving West Point. It is very, very difficult to get through a show like that, and I already told you that these are people with like damn near 4.0 GPAs, or in some cases, some high schools have a 5.0 GPA, whatever the hell that means. And so they are looking for high school kids that have a 4.0 GPA or thereabouts, and have also demonstrated remarkable athletic ability, blah, blah, blah. It's very, very competitive. It's very, very selective. Because, of course, like, this is a military academy, and that means that you're going to be paid to go to school. Military academy is not just free college, it's being paid to go to college. Does it sound like a sweet deal? It's because it is. Now they are going to want their pound of flesh out of you, right? At the end of everything, you owe them time and military service. But those job prospects are a hell of a lot better than your average kid getting out of college. With a bachelor's degree, you know. You got your baristas and everything like that, with the value of a bachelor's degree being ever reduced more and more each and every day. But in the meantime, you can, you know, you can do your C's, get degrees in college, and get your famously one of the easiest bachelor's degrees that you can get. It's not much to think about and anything like that. It's like, is this illegal? Is it not illegal? They're easy classes. Just trust me on this if you've never had them. So yeah, you get your C's or even D's. D is sometimes a passing grade, and basically damn near flunk your way through college, but now you've got a bachelor's degree, and because you already have a bachelor's degree, like, it's a done deal. You just go through officer candidate school and join the military. Doesn't that sound a hell of a lot different than the experience of surviving West Point? Yeah, the military academies are known for their extreme difficulty. You're being paid to go to college. So with the Senior Reserve Officer Training Corps, it's much the same. It's the military paying you to go to college. You get a stipend of $500 a month. But you know what that's not a stipend of? A stipend of, well, it's, okay, so the stipend starts at $350 a month whenever you're a freshman. Then it goes up to $400 for the next grade, $450, and then finally $500 for your senior year. But, okay. So that stipend of, in the military academy also comes with free room and board, you know, so they're going to give you a place to live the whole time. They're going to give you free meals the whole time. You have nothing to worry about. You have no bills. So you might say $500 a month, that's not that much money. But the thing is, it's all profit. If you were going to a regular college, not only would you be spending money hand over fist just to attend a college, but also you wouldn't get, you know, free room and board. You'd also be spending money for that. I mean, you'd be spending money for absolutely everything, and you wouldn't bank a damn thing. If you go to the military academy at West Point and you just, you know, go there like it's Hogwarts or some shit, and then you graduate 4 years later, what's going to happen is you're going to have, let me see, 350 times 10, so plus 300 or plus 700, so that's $4,200 in your pocket by the end of freshman year. $4,200. That's a pretty good chunk of change. For the next year, you're going to have an extra $1,200 on top of that, so $5,400.
Roger.
And then after that, $1,200 on top of that. Or not $1,200, it's $600, isn't it? Because it's $50 each month, so $4,200 for that first year. And then that second year, you're going to have an extra $600, so $4,800. And then for the third year, for your junior year, you'll earn $5,400. And then for your senior year, you'll have $6,000 in your pocket for a grand total of somewhere around like $20,000 in your pocket before you've begun your first day in the military proper. Now, if you were listening earlier, you might have seen that the junior military academy, where you just start getting paid $2,500 a month with an associate's degree, and you get 2 years to just be a regular-ass college student while you're being paid that amount of money. Yes, that is a better deal. And some of the people from the colleges hate it, and they swear to God that it's going to, you know, put the brakes on your military career later on in life, but that's all hearsay. 01 is 01 and 010 is 010. It's very complicated how you get from A to B. The guy in charge of Southern Illinois University at Mgsv Senior Reserve Officer Training Corps, the guy in charge of the program, the civilian, the guy that, you know, used to go by Major Porch. And that's his last name, Porch. And he was a major. That means in 04. And I think he basically aged out of the Army. He was like offered a early retirement because he couldn't get to his next rank, lieutenant major or lieutenant colonel, I believe. And that was all because he was in the wrong place at the wrong time at all points in time. If there was some action to be had out there, he wasn't there. It's not like he was avoiding the action. He was telling me about everything that he was going to. And he had all the credentials to go wherever the Army needed him to go. He was a sapper. He was in charge of the engineering battalions and everything on the destruction end of the spectrum. His platoon would be in charge of like blowing up bridges and stuff like that, and all this other kind of stuff. And so he was a sapper. So that was all like pretty cool. And he was also a graduate of the United States Military Academy at West Point. He would just it's like fighting in Panama or something like that. He would get there, and by the time he got there, then the fighting would be done and gone. He said that was his whole career. He just kept getting moved to places slightly too late. So because he never saw any actual action, then he never got that advancement. He got offered that early retirement, and he had no choice but to take it. And then he just decided to leave his mark on history by continuing to go out there and train future officers. So out of all the different options, I didn't know that there was options in the first place, or else I would have taken one of the other ones. It's like, hell yeah, you're going to pay me to go to school? I love school. I've always loved school. So it's like, but that wasn't, those options weren't presented to me. After I joined up with Army Senior Reserve Officer Training Corps down there at Southern Illinois University at Evansville, with Major Porch and all of the other, people involved. After I joined them, at some point in time, they asked if I wanted to go on a little recruiting mission. I said, hell yeah, I'll go on a recruiting mission. That sounds like fun. So I went out with them, and they went to go recruit more, students for the program. And we went to all these little schools out there in in Edwardsville, where the college was, and Glen Carbon, and these sort of nice areas. And I was like, hey, weren't we popping by my alma mater, East Alton Wood River High? Why aren't we stopping by, Alton High, Alton High School? Why aren't we stopping by Southwestern High School? All these other high schools. And he gave it to me straight. He was like, students from poorer areas are not likely to get through school. They are not likely to get through college. But he didn't know that he was just a few years early. It was just a few years early, but he was talking to somebody that was a student from those poorer areas that got through school, got my bachelor's degree and everything. It's if you were going to speak about this situation sociologically, it would be called statistical racism, right? They're not going to give you they're not even going to give you the option because they don't believe that you can make it. Because you're poor, because you're broke, because you are of a lower class, they're not even going to give you the option of being paid to go to college. They're not going to present to you that option. But you know what is right across the street from Alton High School, in the new Alton High School. I went to the old Alton High School. It's now called Alton Middle School. I'm an old man. I'm 35. But they're not even going to give you the option of be paid to go to college because they don't think that you're going to make it through college. They don't think that you're going to make it in college.
Subject on board. Leave the rest to us.
So like I said, sociologically speaking, it would be called statistical racism. It's that whole thing where somebody starts a sentence on the internet with, 13% of all people commit 35% of crimes.
Coming too. Roger that.
Then you realize, after Ferguson, you found out that they were being pulled over twice as often as any other people, and they found a reason to pull them over half as often. So that cuts that statistic right in half, and now you're down to 25%, and then you find out that they are convicted twice as often as everybody else, and now you're all the way down to 12.5%, and they are represented poorly for their contribution. They are now, according to these very same statistics, they are now committing less crimes than everyone of every other race. Oh shit, whenever you actually fucking look into it and stop quoting the same statistics over and over again, start to find the full story. But whenever we're not, then you've got something that's much, much more simple. The United States military only has so much people. They only have so much time. They only have so much resources. And they have to go with what is statistically likely to have the best outcome. They can't waste their time. They do not have unlimited time. They do not have unlimited resources. So if they're going to go on a recruiting mission, of course they're going to stop pretty much exclusively at the places where these kids were probably already going to end up in college in the first place. They're just giving these kids the opportunity to be paid to go to college, to get their college for free and be paid to do it. Your sniper rifle. Our sniper rifle, comrade.
Where are your friends?
So, it's not even a case of statistical racism. It's just practicality at the end of the day. So yeah, I broke the mold. I was able to be very, very low class, come from a bad area, a crime-ridden area, be a victim of a great many different crimes. And I was still able to succeed. I've got my success story or whatever, but it just wasn't very likely to happen. It's like, every time you get in a car, you may think that seatbelts are very, uncomfortable. But if you crash, you're much more likely to survive if you have the seatbelt on. If statistics don't matter, then you might as well take all your money and use it to buy lottery tickets. And if statistics don't matter, then it shouldn't matter, right? After all, you could win $1 million, killion, trillion dollars. The reason that you don't do that is because you probably already realize that you have a better chance of winning. You have a better chance of being struck by lightning 100 times while simultaneously being stung by 1 trillion bees while being hit by a meteor than ever winning the lottery. Yeah, that's why they call it a voluntary tax on poor people. It's not like there's a bunch of rich people out there playing the lottery. They're not. They know better.
Subject on board. Leave the rest to us.
The Army just simply has to do what's going to be, what's going to give them the highest statistical likelihood of success. That's all. And both sad being on the receiving end of that, knowing that somebody looked at you and said, like, you don't have a high chance of success, so I'm not even going to give you the time of day. Knowing that if I would have known about the chance to be paid to go to college, then I would have never went into the Navy active duty and spent 4 years of my life doing it. I would have just continued to be in school. I love school. I've always loved school. Even though that is the case, yeah, you got to look at things through their perspective. It's not all about you. We're all on this planet together.
Where are your friends?
They weren't insulting me specifically by not going to East Salton River High School.
Where are your friends?
He's coming too.
They're just trying to use the limited time and resources that they had to the best of their ability.
You gotta extract him.
He felt that bullet whiz right overhead. He felt the air moving past his ear. He was like, oh shit. You see him duck down like that. But it is, they only do that whenever there's a very near miss.
Where are your friends?
Subject on board. Leave the rest to us.
But at the end of the day, I'm still very lucky. I still consider myself very lucky. I love school. Doesn't mean that I'm very good at it. Hey, chances are, why don't you go ahead and ask yourself a question. Do you love sex? You probably do it, right? If you've ever participated in it, it's probably an enjoyable activity, right? You probably like sex. Now, are you any good at it? That's right. It's like, you might claim that you're a porn star, and you might have people that either agree or disagree with you, but the fact of the matter is that there's plenty of people that love it, aren't any good at it whatsoever. So that was essentially what was going on with high school. I loved high school. Doesn't mean I was any good at it. So I wasn't doing very well in school. Part of the thing that led my mother to drop me out of school before I turned 18 years old. She always tries to gaslight anybody listening a million different ways and say, well, it didn't happen that way. You actually dropped yourself out of school. I was not 18. That was not that was not one of the options that was even being presented to me. I cannot drop out of school before I'm 18 years old. And of course, whenever I speak to all of the people that are in charge of dropping a child out of high school, none of them seem to remember a meeting with me ever. And there's no record of me being in a meeting anywhere. So, no. You're lying through your fucking teeth and you know it. So, of course, my mother wanted a free babysitter, so she dropped me out of high school. And that was that. I got my GED. And then obviously I went on to get my associate's degree and my bachelor's degree. Now I'm in pre-med, trying to do the whole go into military medical school thing. He's alright. He's only got a minor concussion.
Speak. Where are the others?
Guess who gets more concussions? Do you think a football player gets more concussions, Or
He's coming too.
a guy
Roger that.
who spends all of the time in his sport getting hit in the head with somebody else's fist. If you guess football player, you are correct. Somehow or another, they give themselves concussions much more often. That sport gives the participants concussions much more often than boxers, who spend their entire time getting punched in the head by somebody else.
Where are the others?
I don't know how it works. I've never played football. But I do know no matter how much you like football,
You gotta extract him.
I do know as a matter of fact that if you really liked it, then you would be on the side of people who are trying to reduce the injuries for the athletes that play it. They can't play football if they're too injured to play football. If you like football at all, stand up for the rights of the players, for God's sakes. They're out there killing themselves for you.
Subject on board. Leave the rest to us.
Spit it out.
Wrong button.
Where are the others?
You gotta extract him.
Spit it out.
Where are the
So I
others?
still consider myself very lucky because since I didn't have a very high academic skills, my time in the military sharpened those skills, believe it or not. At the very least, we have in the Navy, we have actual Scantron tests that to decide whether or not you're going to increase in rank. So from E1, somebody straight out of high school, for E1,
Spit it out.
to go to E2 in the Navy, it's just a matter of time. It really is. It's automatic advancement. And to go to E3, same thing.
Heads up.
So I joined the military. I had already recruited one of my friends, and that gave me a little boost. So the United States Navy active duty as an E2. Okay. So I just had to wait, and then eventually I was crowned E3. Bingo, bango, bongo. I got a raise, you know. I got the world's tiniest increase in responsibility and power. But that was about the full extent of it. I was able to cast minor cantrips once a day. You know, the basic stuff that comes with promotion. That's a Dungeons and Dragons reference, everybody. I'm a true nerd. I belonged in the Navy. I fit in there like a glove. But in general, whenever it comes to the different forces and their academic performances after their time in service, or even concurrently with their time in service, either for people taking college classes while they are active duty or for people who are doing the reserves. So they got their 1 week in a month or 2 weeks a year, and the rest of the time they can concentrate on college classes.
Where are the others?
He was going to try to shoot him down. Did you see him aiming his gun? But I stopped him.
He's coming too. Roger that.
Where are your friends?
I should send 2 more my way to investigate.
Subject on board. Leave the rest to us.
Process materials. Trying to find this damn thing. There it is. There's a space. Sorry, there's a really old Cartoon Network commercial where they used to pretend that the cartoons were real. And I think it was like the Flintstones or something like that. Were trying to find a parking space so they could get into work, and they couldn't clock in because they couldn't find a space. They finally found a space, and like the Jetsons or something, you know, pulled in and took the space before they could
He's
park.
coming too. Roger that.
Commercials used to be fun. Back in the day, it was fun. It was real neato. I enjoyed them. It's ancient history, though.
You gotta extract him.
So at the very least, in the Navy, to go from... Damn. I really thought I was going to get him. It doesn't matter, though. We're in free roam. We're in free roam. Nothing matters. I can get caught as many times as I want. You don't have any communications. Nope. The game forgot that I just took down the communications. Somebody needs to experiment with this and see if the game tends to forget if you take out the satellites and the radio. Maybe if you do just one or the other, then the game doesn't forget as easily. But whenever you do both, it's kind of like flipping a switch from off to on to off. Circles you back around to square zero.
He's coming too. Roger that. Subject on board. Leave the rest to us.
They were calling a ceasefire because there's a friendly human in between them and their enemy.
Where are your friends?
So with the Navy, whenever you go from E3 to E4, it involves an actual multiple choice Scantron test. When you go from E4 to E5, same. E5 to E6, same. E6 to E7, same, as far as I know. And so, them are academic skills. Them are very plainly academic skills. Now, whenever they look at the data between different forces and whatnot, the Army actually tends to do fairly well whenever they transition to beginning academic progress again. So they start college either while they're active duty or while they're reserve or whatever, and they do well. They do better than your regular students. Each and every branch of the military, they all do the same thing. They all increase your academic performance. Even the Marines. I know, everybody's like, crayons and glue, you know, the Marines, they're just, Marines are stupid, you know, that's the stereotype, but in actuality, they do better than your regular ass students. You pit a college student against a Marine, a normal Marine, everything else remaining equal, they'll not only lose a fight, but they'll lose a test too. These two have gas masks on. Yeah, they do. You see the little gas mask outline? I was like, I'm dead on with these with these smoke bombs. Like, why aren't they affected? Got gas masks on. Alright. I'll play your game. Don't you worry about it, guys. So it's kind of like, you know, whenever parents are sold the opportunity to begin paying for karate classes, I'm just like, say, hey, Mr. Karate Teacher, my kid doesn't get into too many fights. Like, why would I pay for them to learn karate? And they always say the same shit, right? They always say, well, it improves concentration, therefore improving academic performance. And the thing is, whenever we put it to the test, they're right. They're absolutely right.
You gotta extract him.
Karate will make your kid better at schoolwork. They will get better grades doing karate than they would not doing karate. So, is it any surprise, really, that the military improves academic performance regardless of what branch? It shouldn't be that surprising, right? It's fairly understandable.
Where are your friends?
Now, there's also the whole thing with those who are in better shape have a higher academic progress than those who don't. That's right, all that stuff that Hollywood says you about, oh, the nerds will do better than the jocks and blah, blah, blah. No, not really. If you take two students and put them up against each other, and you put two students through an academic program, and one of the students gets put through a physical training regimen simultaneously, the student that goes through the regimen will receive better grades than the student that does not. Now, I know that what you're thinking, you know, that can't possibly be true, or some variation of that. Well, that's theory, that's conjecture. No, I'm actually quoting a study done by Dr. Hatfield that ended up being part of a personal trainer course attached to, what was it? There's this one particular college that that really tries to recruit military people as often as humanly possible. So they managed to get me to use some of my tuition assistance while I was active duty to receive their personal trainer course. And that was placed together by, I believe, the late great now, Dr. Hatfield. And of course, and this was believe it or not, this was actually a study on twins. So that there was no excuse. Two twins were in school. They put one of them through an 8-week physical training course, and his grades improved. Like, it's not theory or conjecture. More blood gets to your brain. That means you can think better. People always think that everything's kind of like separate inside their bodies, right? They think that, they'll try to blame people for their own circumstances a lot of times. This is my, the sociology classes that I've taken coming up and showing its face again. Showing their face again, I guess. But, they'll try to blame people for their own situation. They'll be like, hey, just because you're in a crime-ridden school and everything, and, that featured an insane amount of violence, and, a lot of people, like, died and didn't make it out and everything, that doesn't matter. That it doesn't make a difference in your success. You're responsible for your own failure. Like, try taking a test in biology class or some shit like that. Whenever you're afraid that the person next to you is going to murder you. If you find it hard to concentrate on a math test whenever, there's loud noises going on in the classroom, why don't you try to do a math test while people are fighting out in the hallway? Or the guy next to you is snorting coke off of his desk. Shit can be a little distracting, right? Starting to realize that everybody are people just like you and me, and it's kind of hard to survive in environments where not too many people are surviving in those environments. Picking up what I'm dropping? Right? It's really easy to understand once you start to really think about their situations holistically. Put yourself in their shoes. Empathy can be a definite, it can be a tool that can take a lot of the negative emotions out of your life. It can help you understand different situations, and it can start to get you to better solutions. One of the YouTube channels out there in the sort of bread tube land as a YouTube channel, I think it's called the Alt-Right Playbook, and it talks about how these people slowly but surely get radicalized until they get to the point where they're no longer really able to tell the difference between the lies that they've been told and the reality in front of them. So we went through the whole 1350 statistic earlier in the broadcast here, and what it actually means whenever you put some scrutiny to it. And what do you find? That it's not actually accurate or representative of the population that is affected by it. So we went through that earlier, but there are plenty of people that will take a very simple story like that and they'll decide that there's no real way to solve that issue.
Roger.
Welcome home, boss.
So they become what is sometimes referred to as an accelerationist. So say, for example, you look at that statistic and you say 13% of the population does 50% of all the crime.
This is Pequot.
You do something stupid. You ask ChatGPT that if 13% of my cows are hurting 100% of the flock, then what should I do? And ChatGPT says, well, you should, take the cows and, separate them from the rest of the flock. So then you think that the only way to get rid of this crime is to get rid of these people that you perceive as doing this crime. You quickly realize that that's pretty much an impossible task. You stop looking at the effects of late-stage capitalism and stuff like that has actual academic proof behind all of its different, issues and effects that it has on your modern-day individual. the scientific, what's actually been studied and proven over and over again, and it's also self-evident. So you can see that, if you, there's literally been people who have moved from a developing country to a fully developed country, and we can see how it affects their mental health whenever they begin to be exposed to this daily rat race grind of 40-hour work weeks and stuff like that. This is whenever they're going from like an equilateral situation. They're not fleeing the country for fear of their life. They're just moving to America or whatever because they, think that that's the right thing to do or whatever. It's kind of like, oh, I want to make it in Hollywood. Let me, move to California, right? So we can actually see the effects, and you can start to understand that if you're you've got the old, there's one study that shows that there's one study proving that that back in the day in tribal society, the average worker worked about 15 hours a week, and for the rest of the time they just socialized. And everybody's like, why the fuck can't we go back to that? There's a lot of people that just straight out reject that information and pretend that like that cannot be true. And I always tell those people, well, go camping and then see how long it takes you to do all the things to survive for those 2 days or so. And then realize that these tribal people back in the day, they had a lot of people doing this, and they were all doing the same thing. So they got very, very good at it. So if it takes you like an hour to gather enough food for a or to gather enough wood for a campfire, then, just know that it probably took them like 10 minutes. They got good at it. And they were in groups. They were in pretty big groups. So it's like, it's already not taking you 40 hours. It's not taking you 1/3 of the day to gather enough food and water and wood for a fire and set up a tent and everything. It's already not taking you that much time camping, but you believe that there's these hidden activities that, your tribal ancestors did, even though you don't have any proof of that. Boom! 2-in-1 reflex. So there was that study, proving that ye old ancient peoples worked like 15-hour days. So you can self-evidently put yourself in their shoes. Imagine somebody coming from these more tribal societies, working 15-hour days, and then suddenly they're working 40-hour days, or 40-hour weeks, or 15-hour, sorry, they go from 15-hour weeks to 40-hour weeks. Just imagine how big of a culture shock that is whenever in their old life they had food, water, shelter, and in their new life now they have to work a hell of a lot more for the exact same food, water, shelter. If you put yourself in their shoes, things start to make a lot more sense. But if instead of, putting yourself in the shoes of somebody like this, instead of doing all of that, instead of, seeing that these people are victims of late-stage capitalism and stuff like that, and you can very clearly see, oh, look, this is a person doing this, and this is what they're doing now. And instead, you just say, oh, I know who's doing all this, the Jews. Then suddenly, the only thing that you can do is, get rid of them. You consider them the bad guys. And then you realize that getting rid of them is fucking impossible. So what happens whenever you are looking at the entire world and you are misidentifying the problem? You think that the problem is this group of people or that, and you don't have a smidge of evidence for that, but you are surrounding yourself with a shitload of people who are saying that it's directly, that all the problems in the world are directly due to these two groups of people. And the only way to solve these problems
Where are your friends?
is to get rid of these people. And you realize that that's impossible to do. What happens to you? It's fairly obvious, right? You start to think that there's no reason to keep going. There's no answer to this problem. There's nothing that you can do. There's nothing that anybody can do. So what do? You decide that the only way to take these people out is to take as many of them out as you can. So you grab a gun and you go somewhere and you make your last stand. That right there is the alt-right playbook. That's, you know, that's your average alt-right turned into serial killer mass shooter. It's fairly simple to see how they go from this step to the next step to the next step. It's fairly obvious. So can you see how empathy can actually remove a lot of the negative emotions
Subject on board.
from
Leave the rest
yourself?
to us.
Just by, you don't have to believe. You can say, oh, it's all liberal gibberish talk to say that all of the problems are late stage capitalism whenever it's really the Jews. And then you say, okay, well, this whole country over here is you know, they're not working 40-hour weeks and feel to be working 15-hour weeks versus how would it feel to be working 40-hour weeks, and how crazy it would be to go from one to the other, and how that would feel. And realize, okay, yeah, that would be pretty nuts. I would be pretty upset with that. You move on from there. Hey, Americans are working 40-hour weeks. You know who else is working 40-hour weeks? Europeans.
Where are your friends?
You know, go ahead and look at the Jewish population of this particular European country or whatever. Try to make your alt-right theories stick. Realize it's just the same bullshit again and again and again. This problem has no solution. Why? Because you're misidentifying the problem. If I told you that all of the world's problems comes from math, and the only thing that we have to do to solve all the world's problems is to get rid of math, suddenly you would feel pretty powerless, right? Especially if you surrounded yourself with like thousands of people telling you that over and over and over again every single day. That's your standardized alt-right playbook, how to turn somebody into a serial killer, how to turn somebody into an accelerationist, they call it, into an extreme nihilist.
You gotta extract him.
Whenever you lay it all out like that, it becomes easy to understand, doesn't it? Back to the game here. This whole thing is simulating the task of invading somebody else's forward operating base, somebody else's diamond dog, somebody else's mother base. So you can't request supplies or anything like that. Once you don't have any more
We checked the area.
ammo, you don't have any more ammo. That's it. Once you run out of Fultons, you run out of Fultons. That's it.
Still be in the area. Out.
Nobody's got any Fultons at the research and development platform on their mother base. And you don't have it lying around in stacks in your mother base either.
Where are your friends?
They don't have any non-lethal ammunition just lying around.
Somebody get me down!
So the best that you can do is pick up their guns or pick up ammo from their guns.
Gotta extract him.
You alright?
Wait, stop! Don't shoot!
Speak. Where are your friends?
So if they don't have non-lethal rounds, then you won't have non-lethal rounds. Once you're out, you're out.
He's coming too. Roger that.
What? Let's go. Got it.
What's up, motherfuckers? Lights out.
All fire teams, this is CP. The satellites have gone out. Looks like a problem with the power supply. Whoever's closest
There's this
is
great
on the
comic.
power system.
It was one of the Daredevil comics.
CP, this is Zulu.
With the, what is it? What is Daredevil? Is he DC?
Where are the others?
This is a great Daredevil comic where all of these, like, shock troopers or whatever, assassins are after the comic book hero Daredevil.
You gotta extract him.
And they've all come to his apartment or whatever to, like, kill him. And he's got, they've all got night vision goggles on. And he can hear the electrical whine from the night vision goggles. And so he goes, oh no, there's a bunch of people with night vision goggles in my apartment. Like, what will I do? And he just flips on the light. It's just because everybody with night vision goggles on is going to be blinded immediately. Just being sarcastic. This is the opposite situation. I turn off the lights. I have night vision goggles. They don't.
Don't stop. Don't do
Where
it.
are the others?
Spit it out.
This entire idea. So Snake here has a combination. He has night vision goggles / infrared goggles. In all of the previous games, you would have to switch between the two. And it's kind of annoying. So they combined both concepts in this game. Well, night vision goggles have been around for a long, long time. They're very difficult to see through, but you get used to it. I think I might have put them on maybe once. The field of vision becomes very difficult to figure out what the hell is going on. Your depth perception gets all messed up. Either way. Son of a bitch! I knocked you out, didn't I?
There he is. That guy's the target.
Miller says something whenever you successfully knock out or otherwise, you know, look at that. There's 3 soldiers down there. What a pain in the ass. Let's hope this succeeds. Okay, that's it.
You're going to extract him. Good thinking. We'll make him squeal till he's paid his due.
Attention hostile force. We have eliminated your commander. Escape is impossible. Lay down your weapons immediately. Surrender now, and you will not be fired upon.
Miller says something whenever you rescue all of your guys. Like I said, if you have all 4 platforms, you've fully upgraded the research and development platform, then you'll have to rescue up to 6 of your own guys. And if you fuck up and you're spotted before you get from A to B, they will start taking out your own dudes.
Boss, we figured out who that enemy commander was. He was on the staff at Mother Base 9 years back. Despite surviving the attack, he broke off from us
Mosquito.
and spent his
Remember he
years
got shot in the head.
terrified that a cleanup squad would come after him. The isolation screwed with his sense of loyalty. A rumor, source unknown, had him convinced that the attack 9 years ago was orchestrated by you yourself. The big boss sold out his comrades to hide from the world. He thought that's why you weren't at the base that day. He was so desperate to take us down, he built up his own PF, copying us in every way. His idea of the perfect revenge. But in the end, he was just a victim of disinformation. I'll leave you to decide how to deal with him.
Mosquito! That's him. Doesn't look any worse for wear, does he? Maybe he didn't get shot in the head, per se. Maybe he just, like... Maybe somebody threw a tomato at him really hard. It's really hard.
Boss,
Knocked him out with it.
I want to bolster our security to guard against enemy attacks. What I have in mind is to create a security team that can defend each of the platforms. Can I go ahead with that? So from now on, give some thought to building up the security team as well. One other thing. To divert some of the risk posed by our enemies, I'd like to construct a forward operating base. The more bases we have, the more staff we can house and the more materials we can secure.
Gotta go to his little tutorial. Purchase waters. You had to purchase up to 4 fobs, I think, or 3 fobs. You can see whereabouts they are in the world and what they're good at. So this one's going to give you the best return on investment for precious metals. The rest of them are B for precious metals. This one's A for minor metal. But this one's B for fuel. And fucking everything needs fuel. So we'll go ahead and grab that. Late game, you're going to want everything possible whenever it comes to precious metals, because that's going to be the one that you're lacking 24/7. You're going to always be lacking that. Okay, this is S rank for fuel. This is a triple S rank. Damn. Said I had 2,200 coins. You get like 15 of these each day. You can buy more with your real life money, but like, why? Yeah, I think this like, it's gonna charge me like double, yeah. See? There's another one? Triple S. Whatever. Why not? I've got the coins for it. So this one's gonna be like double that, right? Like 2,400. No, it's the same. Okay. Well, I'm not about to fucking spend my actual money on this. Especially since this is a brand new profile. I started all of this for you. For you, dear viewer. Started from ground zeros. For you. Just so I can show you the world, shining, shimmering, splendid. Tell me, princess, now when did you last let your heart decide? Sorry, that was a whole new world from the Aladdin movie. It came out in 1776 whenever I was a kid. You understand. I'll be 36 this year. I'm turning 36 years old in 2023. I saw Lion King in theaters. The animated movie. I met George Washington. No, just he was a close friend of mine. Me and Leif Erikson, we used to go to math class together. Alright, no new side-offs. The main thing is now 5 missions. I can head out there and I can infiltrate other human beings on this fucking planet. Did they shut down the servers or something? That's weird. That's really weird. I've never seen that. I know they just don't connect to the servers on the PS3 copy. And same thing for the Xbox 360 copy. I've never seen it. It said that there's no events being held. That's so strange. I've never seen that. It's you. It's your presence here, dear viewer. You're the one that's making all the weird shit happen, I swear. 1,200 hours in this game, and I keep experiencing this new shit.
There are reports of child soldiers taking over Mgsv village after the CFA got wiped out there. They've been raiding the surrounding villages, so the people have requested we eliminate them. Check your mission list for the details.
Boss, we gotta kill these kids. You gotta capture the kids alive. Like I said before, the Metal Gear series has been making people who are not people that are hard to relate to. They've been making them relatable for a long time. So, in Metal Gear 2, the main character, Solid Snake, is told that Big Boss has started his own country in Africa somewhere called Zanzibar Land, and he has to go and he has to dismantle it, and, you know, the Big Boss has been doing really bad things, etc. And so there we go. So that's what they tell the main character, Solid Snake, in Metal Gear 2. He goes out there assuming that that's the truth. And then he gets there and he fights his way through the entire base. He gets all the way to Big Boss at the end and he says, "You moron, like this base, this entire country was built to house war orphans. Like there was a bunch of kids here. Yeah, some of the soldiers that you killed were kids that had turned 18 because I raised them here in my country." And then Solid Snake blows up the whole fucking country. They explain to you that, you know, that you're the bad guy, essentially. So after the Cold War, whenever every Hollywood bad guy was just somebody speaking in a Russian accent, after that era, they started to make, I mean, any mercenary a bad guy. I mean, they have to be a bad guy, right? They're killing people for money. It's okay to kill people for country. Killing people for money, that's an evil thing. But what if there was a mercenary company that they weren't fighting for country or for money? They were fighting for each other. And the money was just for them to continue doing that. So that was the scenario that was put forth whenever putting Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker together and stuff like that. And everything that came afterwards, Mgsv, etc. Suspending the tutorial. The tutorial has been suspended, all because of what exactly? It's so strange. As soon as I end this broadcast, I'm going to log into my other profile that has all the goodies on it. I'm going to try to do a fob mission and see if this is something with the server or it's just because I keep getting rid of all of my guys over and over again. I don't know what the fuck is going on. But anyways, like that was their thing. Like, what if it's just what if this mercenary group isn't a bunch of evil people killing other people for money? What if it's a group of people fighting for each other because that's all that they know how to do, because they have nowhere else to go, they have nothing else that they can do, they don't know anything else, there's no other jobs that they can get, the only thing that they're good at is fighting, and they're just fighting for each other. Everybody's seen a million movies of people giving each other, you know, their lives and sacrificing each other and jumping on grenades and stuff like that. Everybody's seen those types of movies. They've seen soldiers die for each other. They've seen that in Hollywood at the very least. So they've seen those movies, etc. And what they haven't really realized is that mercenaries can do that too. And that was the question and the scenario put forth by Hideo Kojima whenever he made Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker and Metal Gear Solid V, right? Anyways, it's past midnight and I gotta grate some samju gachari. It's a Korean dish that I love deeply, but every time I make it, I grate some garlic. I grate some onion. I use a cheese grater and I grate onion. It's fantastic. It works so much better than everything else. And I'm gonna try to do that with the whole thing. I'm gonna put together the whole thing. I'm gonna take everything and put it through the cheese grater. The lettuce, the carrots, the whole head of cabbage. I'm gonna see what happens. This is going to be a grand experiment for me, and I'm excited about it. Either way, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to eat it, and I'm going to go to bed. So,
I'll talk to you the next time I get the chance.